The mining colony of Vega 7 was not a beautiful place. It sat on a cold, rocky moon at the edge of explored space. The sky was always gray, and the wind carried dust that got into everything. But for Sam Mitchell, it was home now. It'd been home for 3 years, ever since he packed up his life on Earth and brought his daughter to the stars. Sam was a simple man. He worked as an engineer in the water recycling plant. He fixed pipes, checked filters, and made sure the colony had clean water to drink. It was not exciting work, but it paid well, and it kept him busy. Keeping busy was important. It stopped him from thinking too much about the past. His daughter Lily was 8 years old now. She had her mother's eyes, brown and warm, and her mother's smile too. Every time Sam looked at her, he felt both joy and a deep ache in his chest. His wife Grace had died when Lily was 5. A sickness that came too fast and took her before the doctors could do anything. After that, Earth felt too heavy. Every street, every room, every corner reminded him of what he had lost. So he applied for the off-world contract and took Lily far away, where the memories could not follow. Vega 7 was a small colony. About 2,000 people lived there, mostly humans. There were some alien traders who came and went, selling goods from distant worlds. The Valari came sometimes, tall and thin with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. The Kreth came too, short and stocky with rough gray hide. Sam did not know much about them. He was polite when he saw them in the market, but he kept to himself. He had enough to worry about with his job and raising Lily alone. That evening, Sam was in the small kitchen of their habitat module. He was making dinner, a simple meal of rice and vegetables from the hydroponic farms. Lily sat at the table, drawing pictures on her tablet. She was drawing a cat. She always drew cats. She wanted a pet, but animals were not allowed in the colony. Too expensive to feed, the administrator said. "Dad, do you think we will ever go back to Earth?" Lily asked without looking up from her drawing dot. Sam stirred the pot and thought about the question. "Maybe someday," he said. "When you are older. When you want to see where you were born." "I do not remember it," Lily said. "You were very small," Sam replied. "But it is a nice place. Green trees. Blue sky. Real rain, not the recycled kind." Lily nodded and went back to her drawing. Sam watched her for a moment, feeling that familiar mix of love and sadness. She was growing up so fast. He wished Grace could see her now. Then came the knock. It was soft, almost too soft to hear. Sam frowned. No one visited them at this hour. Most of his co-workers lived on the other side of the colony, and Lily's friends were all asleep by now. He wiped his hands on a towel and walked to the airlock door. When he opened it, he saw a child. She was small, maybe 6 or 7 years old. Her skin was pale blue, almost white in the dim light of the corridor. Her eyes were large and dark, filled with fear. She was Valari. Her clothes were torn and dirty, and she was shaking from the cold. The heating in the lower tunnels was never very good. "Please," the child said in broken common, the language everyone used on the colony. "Please, sir. My mom is bleeding. She needs help." Sam felt his heart tighten. He looked at the child, so small and so scared, and he did not think twice. He turned to Lily. "Stay inside," he said firmly. "Lock the door and do not open it for anyone except me. Do you understand?" Lily's eyes went wide, but she nodded. She was a brave girl, and she trusted her father. Sam grabbed his emergency medkit from the shelf by the door. Every habitat had one. Colony rules. He knelt down in front of the alien child and spoke gently. "What is your name?" "Kira," the child whispered. "Okay, Kira. I am Sam. Show me where your mom is." "I will help her." "I will help her." Kira took his hand. Her fingers were cold and thin. but her grip was tight. She led him out of the habitat block and into the main corridor. Then she turned toward the lower levels, where the maintenance tunnels ran beneath the colony. Sam had been down there a few times for work. It was dark and cold, full of pipes and old storage bays. Not a place for people to live, but people did live there. Sam knew that. Unauthorized residents, the administration called them. Refugees and drifters who had nowhere else to go. The colony turned a blind eye as long as they did not cause trouble. It was not kind, but it was the way things were. Kira led in through narrow passages, past humming machines and dripping pipes. The air smelled of rust and old water. Finally, they reached a small storage bay. The door was partly open, and a faint light glowed from inside. Sam stepped through the door and saw her. A Valari woman lay on the floor, propped against a stack of cargo crates. She was holding her side, and dark blue blood seeped through her fingers. Her breathing was fast and shallow. Her eyes, the same large dark eyes as her daughter, looked up at Sam with a mix of hope and fear. "Please," she whispered. "Help us." Sam did not hesitate. He knelt beside her and opened his medkit. He had basic training in first aid. Every colonist did. He gently moved her hand away from the wound and looked at it. The cut was deep, running along her ribs. It was still bleeding, but it had not hit anything vital. He could work with this. "You are going to be okay," Sam said softly. "I am going to clean this and seal it. It will hurt, but you need to stay still. Can you do that?" The woman nodded. Her name, he would learn later, was Neva. As Sam worked, cleaning the wound with antiseptic and applying a sealing gel, Kira sat beside her mother, holding her hand. The little girl did not cry. She just watched, her dark eyes full of a weight no child should carry. Sam finished his work and wrapped a bandage around Neva's torso. The bleeding had stopped. The wound would heal if she rested. But as he looked at the injury one more time, a cold thought settled in his mind. This was not an accident. This was not a fall or a mistake. The cut was too clean, too precise. Someone had done this to her on purpose. Sam looked at Kira, then at Neva. He wanted to ask, but he could see the fear in their eyes. They were not ready to talk. "Not yet. You cannot stay here," Sam said quietly. "It is too cold, and you need rest. Come with me. I have room." Neva shook her head weakly. "We cannot. It is too dangerous. If they find us, if who finds you?" Sam asked. Neva closed her eyes and did not answer. Sam sat back and thought. He did not know what was happening. He did not know who had hurt this woman or why she was hiding in the tunnels with her child. But he knew one thing for certain. He was not going to leave them here. "I will keep you safe," he said. "I promise." And Sam Mitchell always kept his promises. Getting Neva out of the maintenance tunnels was not easy. She was weak from blood loss and could barely walk. Sam had to support most of her weight as they moved through the dark passages. Kira walked ahead, her small feet knowing the path by memory. She had lived in those tunnels for a long time, too long for any child. They took the back routes, avoiding the main corridors where people might see them. Sam did not know who had hurt Neva, but he understood that whoever it was might still be looking for her. Secrecy was important now. When they finally reached his habitat module, Sam knocked on the door in a special pattern he had taught Lily. 3 quick taps, then 2 slow ones. The door slid open, and Lily stood there with worried eyes. "Dad, who's that?" she asked, looking at the injured alien woman. "Her name is Neva," Sam said as he helped Neva inside. "And this is her daughter Kira. They need our help for a little while. Can you be brave and help me?" Lily nodded quickly. She was scared. Sam could see that, but she was also curious. She had never seen aliens up close before, Except from a distance in the market, Sam guided Neva to the small couch in their living area and helped her lie down. He grabbed blankets and pillows to make her comfortable. Kira sat on the floor beside her mother, still holding her hand. "Lily, can you get some water?" Sam asked. "And maybe some of those crackers from the kitchen." Lily ran off to help. Sam checked Neva's wound again. The sealing gel was holding, and the bleeding had stopped completely. She would recover, but she needed rest and proper food. "Thank you," Neva said weakly. Her voice was soft, like wind through tall grass. "You did not have to help us." Most would not. Most did not see a scared little girl at their door, Sam replied. "I did. That is all that matters." Neva's dark eyes studied him. There was surprise in them, and something else. Confusion, maybe. Like she could not understand why a stranger would risk anything for her. Lily came back with water and crackers. She handed them to Sam, then stood nearby, looking at Kira with open curiosity. "Hi," Lily said. "I am Lily. What is your name?" Kira looked at her mother, as if asking for permission. Neva gave a small nod. "Kira," the alien girl said quietly. "That is a pretty name," Lily said. She sat down on the floor across from Kira. "Are you okay? You look cold." Kira did not answer, but she shivered slightly. Lily immediately got up, ran to her room, and came back with a thick blanket. She wrapped it around Kira's shoulders without asking. Kira looked at her with wide, surprised eyes. "There," Lily said with a smile. "Better?" Kira nodded slowly. For the first time since Sam had met her, a tiny hint of a smile touched the corner of her mouth. Sam watched this small moment and felt something warm in his chest. Children were amazing. They did not see species or differences. They just saw another kid who needed a friend. He sat down on a chair and looked at Neva. She was resting now, her eyes half closed. He wanted to ask her questions, but he knew she was too tired tonight. Tomorrow. He would ask tomorrow. But that night, after Lily had fallen asleep and Kira had curled up beside her mother on the couch, Sam sat alone in the kitchen and thought about what he had seen. The wound on Neva's side had been made by a blade, a knife or something similar. It was not ragged like a tear from metal or sharp rocks. It was smooth and deliberate. Someone had cut her on purpose, and they had done it to cause pain, not to kill. A warning, maybe. Or a punishment. Who would do that to a mother in front of her child? Sam did not sleep well that night. His mind kept turning over the possibilities, each one darker than the last. The next morning, Neva was awake and sitting up. She looked better. Her color had returned, and her breathing was steady. Kira was still asleep, wrapped in Lily's blanket. Lily herself was eating breakfast at the table, watching everything with curious eyes. Sam made tea and brought a cup to Neva. She took it with both hands and breathed in the steam. "Thank you," she said. "You have been very kind to us." "I want to help more," Sam said, sitting across from her. "But I need to understand what happened. Who hurt you?" Neva was quiet for a long moment. She looked down at her tea, and Sam could see the fear return to her face. But she also seemed tired of carrying her secret alone. "We are refugees," she finally said. "My homeworld, Valara, has been in civil war for 10 years. There is no food, no safety. When Kira was born, I knew I had to get her out. I heard there were people who could help refugees reach human colonies. They said we would find work and a new life." She paused, her hands tightening around the cup. "But it was a lie. The people who brought us here, they are not helpers. They are traitors. They brought us to Vega 7 and told us we owed them money for the transport. More money than we could ever pay. They said we had to work for them until the debt was cleared. But the debt only grows. It never shrinks." Sam felt his stomach turn cold. He had heard of this before. Debt bondage, trafficking. It was illegal in human space. But laws meant nothing on the outer colonies, where enforcement was weak. What kind of work? Sam asked, though he feared the answer. Neva shook her head. Cleaning, carrying, sometimes worse things. They took everything from us. Our documents, our credits, everything. We are not allowed to leave the tunnels. If we try to run, they hurt us. That is how I got this wound. I tried to take Kira and escaped 2 nights ago. They caught me before I could reach the spaceport. Her voice broke and tears ran down her pale blue cheeks. I should not have tried. I put Kira in danger, but I could not stand it anymore. Watching her grow up in that darkness, never seeing the sky, never playing with other children. She deserves better. Sam felt a hot anger building inside him. Not at Neva, at the people who had done this to her. People who preyed on the desperate and vulnerable. People who saw living beings as nothing more than products to be used and discarded. Who runs this operation? Sam asked quietly. Neva hesitated. A man named Victor Cole. He works in the supply department. He controls the shipping routes, so no one questions when new people arrive on his ships. He has been doing this for years. Everyone in the tunnels knows his name. Everyone fears him. Sam leaned back in his chair. Victor Cole. He had seen that name before on supply manifests. A middle-aged man with a friendly smile who always had a joke ready. Sam had never liked him, though he could not explain why. Now he understood. Some part of him had sensed the rot beneath the surface. What about the colonial administration? Sam asked. Do they not know? Neva laughed bitterly. They know. They look away. Some of them take money from Cole to stay quiet. Others just do not care. We are aliens. We have no papers, no rights. In their eyes, we are not even people. Sam looked at her, then at Kira still sleeping on the couch, then at his own daughter eating breakfast without a care in the world. These 2 children were not so different. Both just wanted to be safe. Both just wanted to be loved. He made a decision in that moment. He did not know exactly what he would do yet, but he knew he could not walk away from this. I am going to help you, Sam said firmly. I am going to find a way to stop this. Neva looked at him with tears in her eyes. Why? You do not know us. We are strangers. We are not even the same species. Sam smiled sadly. My wife used to say that the measure of a person is what they do when nobody is watching. Right now, nobody is watching. But I am still going to do the right thing. He meant every word. The next few days were strange and wonderful in the Mitchell household. Neva grew stronger with each passing hour. The wound on her side was healing well, and the color had fully returned to her skin. She helped around the small habitat, cleaning dishes and folding clothes, even though Sam told her to rest. She said she felt useless just sitting around. Sam understood that feeling, but the real magic happened between the children. Lily and Kira became inseparable. At first, Kira was shy and quiet. She hid behind her mother and barely spoke. But Lily was patient. She showed Kira her drawings, her tablet games, and her collection of small rocks she had found around the colony. She talked enough for both of them, filling the silence with cheerful chatter about nothing and everything. Slowly, Kira began to open up. She started to smile more. She laughed for the first time when Lily made a funny face while eating noodles. She even started drawing alongside Lily, creating pictures of strange flowers and creatures from her. Homeworld. Sam watched them play together and felt his heart grow both warmer and heavier. Warmer because seeing his daughter happy always filled him with joy. Heavier because he knew this could not last. Neva and Kira were still in danger. Victor Cole was still out there, and eventually, he would come looking for his missing property. Sam could not let that happen. He started his investigation quietly. He could not go to the colonial administration. Neva had told him they were corrupt, and he believed her. If he reported the trafficking ring through official channels, Cole would be warned. He would cover his tracks, and Neva and Kira would disappear. Sam had seen enough crime stories to know how these things worked out, so he went to people he trusted instead. His first visit was to Ben Torres, an old friend who worked in the communication center. Ben was a quiet man with a thick beard and kind eyes. He had been on Vega 7 for over a decade and knew everyone and everything. "I need your help," Sam said when they were alone in Ben's small office. "But what I am about to tell you has to stay between us." Ben raised an eyebrow. "Sounds serious." Sam told him everything. About Kira knocking on his door. About finding Neva bleeding in the tunnels. About the trafficking operation and Victor Cole. Ben listened without interrupting, his face growing darker with each detailed dot. When Sam finished, Ben was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I have heard rumors," Ben said. "Ships coming in with cargo that never gets logged. People disappearing into the tunnels and never coming out. I always thought it was just gossip. Colony people talk too much when they are bored." "It is not gossip," Sam said. "I have seen it with my own eyes." Ben leaned back in his chair. "What do you want to do?" "I want to gather evidence. Enough to send to the Interstellar Humanitarian Authority. They have the power to act even if the local government refuses. But I cannot do it alone." Ben thought about it, then extended his hand. "I am in. Tell me what you need." Sam's second visit was to Maria Delgado, a woman who ran a small clinic in the lower sectors of the colony. She was tough and practical, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She also had a reputation for helping people the administration ignored. When Sam told her about Neva and Kira, Maria nodded like she had heard this story before. "I have treated some of them," she admitted. "The refugees in the tunnels. They come to me when they are too sick or hurt to hide it. They are terrified. They never give names or details, but I know something bad is happening down there. Will you help me document it?" Sam asked. "Medical records, testimonies, anything that proves what Cole is doing?" Maria did not hesitate. "I will help. But you need to understand, this is dangerous. Cole has power. He has connections. If he finds out what you are doing, he will come after you." "I know," Sam said. "But I cannot look away. Not anymore." Over the next week, Sam and his small group of allies worked in secret. Ben used his access to the communication systems to track shipping records. He found inconsistencies, ships that arrived with more cargo than they left with, manifests that did not match weight reports. It was circumstantial, but it was a start. Maria collected medical records from her clinic, carefully removing any details that could identify the victims. She also reached out to some of the refugees she had treated, asking if they would be willing to share their stories. A few agreed, though most were too afraid. Sam himself went into the tunnels twice more, guided by Neva's directions. He took pictures of the cramped, dark spaces where refugees lived. He recorded the conditions, the lack of food, the fear in people's eyes. He saw children younger than Lily huddled in corners, their bodies thin and their faces hollow. Each visit made his anger burn hotter. How could this happen in a human colony? How could people allow this? But he also saw something else. He saw how the refugees looked at him, a human, with surprise when he offered them food or asked about their well-being. They expected cruelty. They expected indifference. When they received kindness instead, they did not know how to react. One old Velari man grabbed Sam's hand and held it tightly. "Thank you," the old man said. "I had forgotten that humans could be gentle." Sam did not know what to say to that. He just nodded and moved on, his throat tight with emotion. By the end of the week, they had compiled a substantial file. Shipping records, medical reports, photographs, and 3 video testimonies from refugees brave enough to speak. It was not perfect, but it was enough to catch the attention of the Interstellar Humanitarian Authority. But Sam knew he needed one more thing. He needed direct evidence against Victor Cole himself. The testimonies mentioned him, but no one had seen him hurt anyone personally. He always kept his hands clean, letting his underlings do the dirty work. Sam decided to confront Cole directly. Not to fight him, but to provoke him. To make him say something incriminating while Sam recorded the conversation. "That is a terrible idea," Ben said when Sam told him the plan. "Cole is not stupid. He will see through it." "Maybe," Sam admitted. "But I have to try." Without direct evidence against him, he could claim he knew nothing about what his people were doing. He could walk away while his victims stay trapped. Maria shook her head. "You are risking everything. Your job, your safety, your daughter." Sam thought about Lily. He thought about Kira. He thought about all the children in those tunnels who had no one to fight for them. "If I do nothing," Sam said quietly, "what kind of father am I teaching my daughter to become? What kind of man am I?" His friends did not argue after that. The night before his meeting with Cole, Sam sat with Neva in his living room. The children were asleep in Lily's room, curled up together like sisters. "You do not have to do this," Neva said softly. "You have already done more than we ever expected, more than we deserved." "Everyone deserves to be helped," Sam replied. "That is what my wife believed. That is what I believe." Neva looked at him for a long moment. "Your wife was a lucky woman." Sam smiled sadly. "I was the lucky one." He did not sleep that night. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what tomorrow would bring. He was not a hero. He was not a soldier. He was just a man who fixed water pipes and raised his daughter alone. But sometimes, ordinary people had to do extraordinary things. Tomorrow, he would face Victor Cole, and one way or another, the truth would come out. The supply depot was in the industrial sector of the colony, a large building full of crates, containers, and machines that hummed and beeped all day long. Sam had been there before for work, picking up parts for the water recycling plant. It was a busy place, full of workers moving cargo and supervisors checking lists. And at the center of it all, in a glass-walled office overlooking the main floor, sat Victor Cole. Sam arrived at midday, when the depot was at its busiest. He had a small recording device hidden in his jacket pocket. It was old technology, the kind that did not give off signals that could be detected by security scanners. Ben had found it in his collection of vintage equipment and modified it for Sam. "Just get him talking," Ben had said. "Ask questions. Let him brag." Men like Cole always want to show off how smart they are. That is their weakness. Sam took a deep breath and walked through the main doors. Workers glanced at him as he passed, but no one stopped him. He was a familiar face around the colony, just another engineer going about his business. He climbed the metal stairs to Cole's office and knocked on the door. "Come in," a voice called from inside. Victor. Cole sat behind a large desk covered with tablets and datapads. He was a man in his 50s, with graying hair and a friendly smile that never quite reached his eyes. He wore expensive clothes, finer than anything most colonists could afford. When he saw Sam, his smile widened. "Sam Mitchell?" Cole said warmly. "The water guy. What brings you to my humble office?" Sam stepped inside and closed the door behind him. "I need to talk to you about something. Something private." Cole raised an eyebrow but gestured to a chair across from his desk. "Sit. Talk. I have a few minutes." Sam sat down. His heart was beating fast, but he kept his face calm. He had practiced this in his head 100 times. He knew what he needed to do. "I found something in the maintenance tunnels," Sam began. something I was not supposed to see. Cole's expression did not change, but his eyes sharpened slightly. "Oh, what did you find?" "People," Sam said. "Aliens living in the dark. Families. Children. They told me they were brought here by someone who promised them a better life. But instead, they are trapped, working to pay off debts that never end." Cole was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed, a low chuckle that had no humor in it. "You know, I hear stories like that all the time," Cole said casually. "The outer colonies attract all kinds of desperate folks. They come here looking for opportunity, but they do not understand how things work. Sometimes they make bad deals with bad people. It is unfortunate, but it is not really our problem, is it?" "The refugees said your name," Sam replied, keeping his voice steady. "They said you are the one running the operation." Cole's smile faded. His friendly mask slipped, and underneath it, Sam saw something cold and hard, like ice beneath a thin layer of snow. "They said that, did they?" Cole leaned back in his chair. "And you believe them? The desperate lies of illegal aliens hiding in the tunnels?" "I believed what I saw with my own eyes," Sam said. "A mother with a knife wound in her side. A little girl who came to my door begging for help. They were real. Their pain was real." Cole studied Sam for a long moment. The silence stretched between them, heavy and dangerous. "Let me tell you something about this colony," Cole said finally, his voice low and serious. "It exists because of people like me. I bring in supplies, workers, and resources that keep this rock running. The administration knows this. The corporations know this. Without me, Vega 7 would collapse in a year." He leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Sam. "So what if I bring in a few extra passengers now and then? Nobody cares about them. They are not citizens. They have no rights. They are invisible. And invisible people can be very useful for jobs that nobody else wants to do." Sam felt sick, but he forced himself to stay calm. Cole was talking. That was what mattered. "So you admit it," Sam said quietly. "You are trafficking people." Cole laughed again, but there was an edge to it now. "I am running a business. Supply and demand, Mitchell. These aliens want to escape their dying worlds, and I give them a chance. Is it my fault if they cannot pay their fare? I am not a charity." "They are slaves," Sam said, his voice rising. "You take their documents. You lock them in the dark. You hurt them when they try to leave." Cole shrugged. "Discipline is necessary. You cannot run an operation this size without rules. But you are looking at this all wrong. I am helping these creatures. On their home worlds, they would be dead or starving. Here, they have food, shelter, and purpose. They should be grateful." The arrogance in his voice was almost unbearable. Sam wanted to leap across the desk and wipe that smug look off Cole's face. But he held himself back. He needed more. What happens when the debt is paid? Sam asked. Cole smiled thinly. "The debt is never paid. That is the beauty of it. Interest, fees, penalties for bad behavior. The numbers always grow faster than they can work them down. They belong to me for life. And when they wear out, well, there are always more where they came from." There it was. The confession Sam needed. Every word recorded on the device in his pocket. Sam stood up slowly. "Thank you for explaining that to me." Cole's eyes narrowed. "Where do you think you are going?" "Home," Sam said. "I have heard enough." Cole rose from his chair. He was taller than Sam had realized, and there was menace in his posture now. "You're making a big mistake, Mitchell. You think you can walk in here, ask questions, and then just walk away. Do you know what happens to people who cause problems for me?" "I can guess," Sam said, his hand on the door handle. "I have friends in the administration," Cole continued, his voice hardening. "I have friends in security. One word from me, and you lose your job. Another word, and you lose much more than that. I can make your life very difficult. I can make your daughter's life very difficult." Sam felt a flash of pure rage at the mention of Lily, but he kept his voice steady. "If anything happens to me or my daughter, the evidence I have gathered goes straight to the Interstellar Humanitarian Authority. Everything. Shipping records, medical reports, testimonies, and this conversation. I have copies hidden in places you will never find." Cole froze. For the first time, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. "You are bluffing," he said, but his voice wavered. "Try me," Sam replied. "I am a simple man, Cole. I fix water pipes and raise my daughter. I do not want fame or glory, but I will burn your entire operation to the ground before I let you hurt one more person." They stared at each other across the office. Sam could see Cole calculating, weighing his options. He was a businessman at heart, and he was trying to figure out if Sam was worth the risk. "Get out," Cole finally said, his voice tight with anger. "Get out of my office." "But this is not over, Mitchell." "Not by a long shot." Sam opened the door and walked out. He did not look back. His hands were shaking, and his heart was pounding. But he forced himself to walk calmly down the stairs and through the depot. Only when he was outside, in the cold gray air of the colony, did he allow himself to breathe. It was done. He had the confession. Now he just needed to get it to the right people before Cole could stop him. He walked quickly toward Ben's communication center, the recording device burning like a coal in his pocket. Behind him, in the glass office of the supply depot, Victor Cole was already reaching for his communicator. The race had begun. Sam reached the communication center just as the colony alarm began to wail. Red lights flashed in the corridors, and a recorded voice announced a security lockdown. Cole had acted faster than Sam expected. Ben was waiting at the door, his face pale with worry. "They are locking down the external communication arrays," Ben said quickly. Cole must have called in favors. "We have maybe 5 minutes before everything goes dark." "Then we need to move fast," Sam replied, pulling the recording device from his pocket. "I got him." Cole confessed everything. "We need to upload the entire package to the Interstellar Humanitarian Authority before they cut the lines." They rushed inside the communication center. Ben's fingers flew across the console, bypassing security protocols and opening a direct channel to the IHA relay station. Sam handed him the recording device and the data chip containing all the evidence they had gathered. "Uploading now," Ben said, his voice tense. 60%. 70. Come on. The lights flickered. Somewhere in the building, doors were slamming. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. 80%. 90. Just a little more. The door burst open. 3 security officers in heavy armor stepped inside, their weapons raised. "Step away from the console," the lead officer commanded. Ben did not move. His eyes stayed fixed on the screen. 95, 98. "I said step away." 100%, Ben said quietly. "Upload complete." Sam felt a wave of relief wash over him. It was done. The evidence was out there now, beyond Cole's reach. No matter what happened next, the truth would come to light. The security officers detained Sam and Ben. They were taken to a holding cell in the administration building, a cold gray room with no windows. For hours, they sat in silence, waiting to learn their fate. But the universe moves in strange ways. Before Cole could do anything more, the reply came. The Interstellar Humanitarian Authority had received the upload. The evidence was too clear, too damning to ignore. Within hours, they dispatched an enforcement fleet to Vega 7. The colonial administration received a priority message ordering them to stand down and cooperate fully with the investigation. Cole tried to run. He made it as far as the spaceport before IHA officers intercepted him. His ship was impounded, his assets frozen, and he was taken into custody along with a dozen of his associates. The corrupt officials who had protected him were suspended pending trial. Sam and Ben were released from the holding cell the same day. When they walked out into the open air of the colony, a crowd had gathered. Word had spread about what they had done, and people wanted to see the men who had brought down Victor Cole. But Sam did not want applause or admiration. He just wanted to go home. When he opened the door to his habitat module, Lily ran into his arms. He lifted her up and held her close, breathing in the familiar scent of her hair. She was safe. That was all that mattered. Neva stood behind Lily, her dark eyes filled with tears. Kira was beside her, clutching her mother's hand. "They told us what you did," Neva said softly. "They told us the men who hurt us are going to prison. Is it true?" "It is true," Sam replied. "You are free now. You and Kira and everyone else cold-trapped in those tunnels. The IHA is going to relocate you to safe worlds. They will help you start new lives." Neva let out a sob and covered her mouth with her hand. It was the sound of someone who had carried a heavy weight for so long that they had forgotten what lightness felt like. Kira looked up at Sam with those big, dark eyes. "We are really free?" she asked in her small voice. Sam knelt down, so he was at her level. "Really free," he said gently. "No more hiding. No more darkness. You are going to see the sky every day from now on. I promise." Kira threw her arms around his neck and hugged him tightly. Sam hugged her back and Lily joined in, wrapping her small arms around both of them. For a moment, the four of them were tangled together in a pile of warmth and relief. Over the next week, the colony transformed. IHA officers brought the refugees out of the tunnels and gave them food, medical care, and clean clothes. Temporary shelters were set up in the community hall. Counselors arrived to help people process their trauma. For the first time in years, the hidden population of Vega 7 could walk in the open without fear. Sam visited the shelter every day to help. He carried supplies, handed out blankets, and talked with the refugees who wanted someone to listen. Many of them thanked him. Some of them cried. One old Kreth man shook his hand and said, "We thought all humans were like coal, cold and cruel. You showed us we were wrong." On the day the transport ships arrived to take the refugees to their new homes, Neva and Kira came to say goodbye. They were dressed in clean clothes provided by the IHA, and Kira carried a small bag with her few belongings. Lily did not want to let Kira go. The two girls hugged for a long time, whispering promises to each other. "We will talk on the communicator," Lily said firmly. "Every week. You have to promise." "I promise," Kira replied, her voice thick with tears. Neva approached Sam and looked at him with an expression he could not quite read. "Gratitude, yes. But something deeper too. Among my people," she said quietly, "there are stories about humans. We are taught that you are dangerous, violent, unpredictable. They say you conquered your own world through war and bloodshed. And now you spread across the stars like a plague." Sam listened without interrupting. He knew there was truth in those stories. Humanity's history was not always kind. "But no one ever told us about this part of you," Neva continued. "The part that sees a child in pain and cannot look away. The part that fights for strangers who have nothing to offer in return. The part that believes every life has value, regardless of what species it belongs to." She reached out and took his hand. "You have changed how I see your people, Sam Mitchell. You have given me hope." Sam did not know what to say. He was just a man who fixed water pipes. He was not special. He had simply done what he believed was right. "Will you tell others?" he finally asked. "About what you found here?" Neva smiled through her tears. I will tell everyone. Every Valari, every Kreth, every species who will listen. I will tell them about the human who helped us when no one else would. And maybe, slowly, the stories will change. The transport ship hummed as its engines powered up. Kira waved one last time from the boarding ramp. Lily waved back, tears streaming down her face. Then they were gone, carried away into the stars toward new lives and new possibilities. Sam stood at the viewing platform with his daughter, watching the ship grow smaller until it disappeared into the endless black. Lily held his hand tightly. "Dad," she said quietly, "do you think we did a good thing?" Sam looked down at his daughter. She had her mother's eyes, and in that moment, he saw Grace looking back at him. She would have been proud. "I think so," he said. "I hope so." Lily nodded. Then she smiled. Mom would have liked Kira. Sam felt his heart ache and swell at the same time. "Yes," he said softly. "She would have." They walked home together, father and daughter, through the gray corridors of the mining colony. Nothing about Vega 7 had changed. The sky was still gray. The wind still carried dust. The work was still hard, and the days were still long. But somewhere out there, across the vast darkness of space, a new story about humanity was beginning to spread. A story not of conquest or violence, but of compassion. Of a single father who answered a child's plea and refused to look away. It was a small story in the grand scheme of things. But small stories have a way of growing. And sometimes that is enough.